Happy New Year, Member of Parliament for Oppong Nkrumah in the Eastern region. How did you cross over into 2025?
Well, I spent the time in church with my wife and the kids, praying into the new year, and I'm looking forward to God's favor in this new year.
Till now, what have been your highlights?
Well, first, it's been a wonderful learning experience. Learning the standing orders, familiarizing yourself with public of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. It's been a wonderful learning experience. It's also given me an opportunity to advocate and fight for a lot of development, back into my constituency. Roads, markets, community projects, lots of scholarships. You've got to feel it to experience it.
So you came in as one of the young entrants. What advice would you give to the young people coming?
It's on its own. It's a different creature on its own. You need to learn the proceeding impact in your constituency. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much advocacy you even do here in the chamber. If it won't translate into, getting results back home for the people who send in, and apply yourself.
Where can they learn? Is there any documents they can read? And are there classes for fresh MPs?
So there's a Parliamentary Training Institute. I'll criticize them by saying that pick up and do a lot more of their sessions and workshops. I used to facilitate some of those at a point. Some of our seniors used to do that. It will make it easier for the freshers to learn and to pick up. That's one. The standing orders themselves are here. The Hansard itself is here. It gives you a full record since everything and everybody has said. The decisions of the Speaker, the Speaker's rulings and decisions written, are also available that you can read and therefore understand how Parliament, through the Speaker, comes to a view on some matters. And then you've got books like the Eskin May, which is one of the best guides on interpretation of the various parts of the standing orders. So if you apply yourself, there's enough material. There's a library of power.
Reader to become a leader.
True, you have to.
So you came in as Member of Parliament. For you, what were the things that have gladdened your heart so far? I mean, you're still in Parliament, but
I put up some advocacy, let's say, on the budget that has just been read, and to pay particular attention to, let's say, the education side of the budget. And I'm able to, constituency gladdens my heart. If I'm able to pay attention to, for example, the scholarship parts of the budget, and I'm able to attract some attention from the persons administering, the scholarship program, and I'm able to therefore attract a lot more scholarships back home, it gladdens my heart. I was able to put up a lot of advocacy on roads and ended up getting about 11 different road projects for my constituency, and that gladdens my heart. That for me, the demands in the constituency and the work in the House, especially for the MPs who will be in the governing party and will also be drawn into the executive branch of government. Your time becomes very limited, and you need to find a way to strike a balance between the demands in the constituency, the work in Parliament, and then the work that will be assigned to you in the executive branch. That's a very tricky balance that you have to try. Yes. To do that, what I had to do was to get administrative support. So I had to build an office in my constituency with staff who help administer work in the constituency. I needed an administrative setup in the ministry to help me administer on the executive branch responsibilities. I needed a team here in Parliament helping me with my 3 teams, and you have to find ways of funding them. And I find out that if you are not able to do that, that's when you have a lot of gaps, because you're just one man. What can you do? There are a lot of young, especially party people, very brilliant, who are around. Bring them in, recruit them, get them jobs, let them assist you so that you can function.
How often were you making trips back to Oppong Nkrumah?
Once every 2 weeks. Fridays you find people at home. So Fridays I can leave after receiving 4 o'clock. There may be a couple of events in some of the villages. You go out there. Saturday you have funerals, etc. to attend. Sunday you have a number of church services like I did yesterday to attend. And then you can come back to Accra and prepare for work on Monday, Tuesday.
It's a full plate.
It is a full-time job.
What were the highlights of that time? Speaking, and you spoke for the president as well.
Well, no, I wasn't the presidential spokesperson.
No, you weren't.
Eugene Ahin was the presidential spokesperson. I was Minister for Information, responsible for assisting the presidency and the ministries to design their communication programs and to push it out. The highlights included, for example, building a world-class press center, as you have it today. People see it normal today. That, setup did not used to exist.
This has happened in your tenure.
Absolutely. You seem to have forgotten all the equipment we put in, the recording booths at the back, the whole system, so that a reporter did not need to bring equipment there. You
Everything
could
was there.
actually just come and ask your question and pick the feed on Facebook or something. And that translated into our ability to be doing regular briefings. You recall our Sunday 1 p.m. briefings and then our Wednesday briefings, so that by the time COVID came, we already had a system for delivering information. And so the presidency easily rode on it. We also rode on it. You saw police, Ghana Health Service, everybody, because we had built a system to put out information. We invested heavily in digital channels of communication so that we could put out stuff even when we didn't have any briefing. What I enjoyed most was the opportunity to provide support to my colleagues in the media, because media requires information. So if you needed information to do your work, what I enjoyed most was to be in a position to assist you with it, whether it was through the Right to Information Act and the systems we put there, or through our government spokespersons, or even myself or my deputy. It was an opportunity to serve, and I enjoyed it.
I'm just curious, the COVID updates, was the president recording them from your end?
No, he was recording them from the Jubilee House.
Okay.
But you recall that the whole mechanism we had put in place for communication made it easier to get it done and then put out there, and then we will be back on Tuesday and Thursday later to answer questions or to provide explanations, because there were many times that people would not understand the why of a decision that had been made and needed to understand why this, why that, what about this, and then because of the infrastructure we have put in place, we had the opportunity to respond to it.
And then you spent a relatively shorter time at the Ministry for Works and Housing.
That is true.
For you, what did that time mean?
I had the opportunity to resolve Saglemi. Saglemi, you recall, has been a big issue around us. Saglemi for me was one of the big things, to be able to put in place a process, a very transparent and open process that allowed bidders to come forward, to go put their bids together, receiving it, appointing consultants and transaction advisors to go through it, and then to help us select Kwam LMI that is now on site. I was there a few weeks ago when we heard on social media that there had been a fire outbreak.
Yeah.
But when the buildings were still there, all intact.
Fake news?
It was just a shed, and some old fittings that had caught fire, but it was blown out of proportion. But it was one of my joys. We were also able to start the district housing program, which I believe is very important, so that we get more housing in the districts instead of just building in Accra. And then we're able to move on with the phase 4 of TDC after commissioning 1,000 homes, break ground for 800 new ones.
Development.
Yes, as well as 534 homes under the National Home Ownership Fund. So it was a lovely experience, also an opportunity to learn something new and serve in another capacity.
Why has our housing deficit not been? I mean, we always hear we have so many houses that we need people to be living in. Why do we have that housing deficit, and how did you manage to make a little bit of impact in bringing it down?
Two challenges. One is the system we are running. The system we are running leaves private people to go build their own homes, or the state wants to build. What we should be running is a public-private partnership that allows the state to assist the private sector that knows how to deliver a lot more efficiently, but with state support. So that was one of the problems. The other problem also had to do with the funding. If private people were building all sorts of, challenges with getting access, because then everybody's waiting for finance minister to give them money to go and build. That becomes a problem. Again, we're able to come up with a structure under the Ghana IBO that both the private sector and government can draw on to execute construction projects. And when those projects are paid for, it goes back into the fund. So the challenge has been the system and the funding. We believe that we managed to put in place a mechanism to respond to both. Unfortunately, into the wheel, but we'll pick it and run with it.
Tomorrow, by the grace of God, you enter into a new experience. You become...
Ghana have assigned us new roles. And they've absolutely, the people of Ghana are employers, saying to us that, okay, MPP, go onto the opposition side and go and assist the government to deliver. You remember our leader said that we're not going to be an obstructive opposition. Our job is to assist the government. So assist the government, first of all, by reminding them in them. Our job is to assist them and to remind them of their promises and to hold them, on behalf of the people of Ghana, accountable for. The NDC campaigned a lot about the cost of living. We admitted that the cost of living was high, and we put propositions on the table. The NDC put propositions on the table. Now that they are in power, first, they have to implement theirs, and then we, at every point in time, have to be comparing to the alternative propositions. that if Bawumia was in power by now, we will be working towards bringing 2,000 megawatts of solar power to reduce electricity bills. What are you doing now? And how does that solve the problem?
Keep reminding them.
Oh, of course. First of their promises, and then secondly of the alternative propositions therein. And then thirdly, there are issues that when they are responding, getting it right, we have to encourage them. And we will do that. We will not shy away from saying when the government does something right, that this is right. And in the same way, we will not shy away from saying when the government does something wrong, that this is members of the opposition. We're not here to obstruct or to make it difficult for the government to work. They did a lot of that. They did a lot of that. There will be times when you bring work into the chamber and they will deliberately obstruct it. We won't do that. We will help them. Whether they like it or not, we will help them.
With the numbers, you are 80-something.
Well, in Parliament, you've been here for several years. You've observed how it may even be 15 or 20. If this debate is going to have, let's say, 5 speakers from each side, even if we are 20, and the hearts and minds of Ghanaians. Ghanaians are very discerning people, and Ghanaians will listen. Ghanaians will not say that because you have 180-something, if, excuse my language, you are not making sense, then because you have 180-something, they will be sitting at home and clapping. They won't do that. They will listen to both sides and come to a certain view of what is in the best interest of Ghana. And that's the job that we're going to do here in this 9th Parliament.
The electorate is getting sharper and more aware.
Sometimes it is we, the political class, who end up thinking that, you can obfuscate or you can dodge a few bullets here and there. The electorate may be sitting there quietly and watching you. When it is time for them to write your term report, they will write it for you. That's what they've done, in the last election. And I keep saying that instead of arguing with them and pretending they want us to make. If our friends in the NDC refusing to listen to anybody, they will be in for a surprise by 2028. Because the same Ghanaian out there who voted us out will be waiting for them. President-elect Mahama said it, that there is to listen to the people and act in the best interest of the people at any point in time.
There may be a silver lining in this cloud, because I spoke with Honorable Freddie Blay, and he said, when you are an opposition MP, there's a little bit less pressure than an MP from a governing party. A lot of pressure is on.
I agree with him. I think that it's also about how you choose to handle it. If you are an opposition MP and you make up your mind that you're going to do a diligent job, you're going to apply yourself and deliver in the best interest of the people, you will do a diligent job. It will not necessarily be easier for you to just sit back and be throwing allegations here and there of no substance, hoping that the media will pick it up and people will be angry. No, you do a diligent job, appear on the floor, and articulate a case for the people of Ghana. There are millions of people who voted for the NDC and President-elect Mahama who are looking forward to some specific things because they believed those things. Our job now is to help the government. For example, the removal of taxes. I'm beginning to see some of our colleagues in the NDC begin to now change the language, that we want to rationalize. The matter is not rationalized. The NDC manifesto and all the videos say that we are going to scrap the e-levy, the betting tax. Do you know how many millions of young people out there betting who voted that they don't?
So that they can scrap the tax.
They believe it. Our job now, and it's not out of malice, our job now is to assist the government to do what it has promised to do so that people will continue to have faith in our democracy. If we adopt the politics of promise, win, and switch, promise, win, and switch, promise, win, and switch, nobody will have confidence in our democracy. And so we, the political class, when we make a promise, we must stick with that promise. And so our job is to help the NDC to stick with their promises, because if they do well, are my citizens not Ghanaians? My constituents, are they not Ghanaians? They are Ghanaians. They will benefit from it. So our job is to help them to do well so that our people also benefit.
Before we wrap up, I just want to ask whether you've thought about the policies that the MPP has right now that the NDC may not follow through. Say, for example, would you be disappointed if they decided to scrap some of the policies that were really close to your heart?
So let me say it this way. First of all, every governing party has the right to continue or to discontinue some programs. Let's not pretend. Every governing party has the right to continue by the people. So, for example, today we are implementing this out that people were not necessarily exist. If we are building 111 district hospitals, the verdict of the people is that they are not impressed that we haven't finished before the election. And so they vote us out, no problem. But the fact that we're doing 111 doesn't change. If the NDC administration decides that they will not continue Agenda 111, it's their choice. But what will happen is that the district within which they have decided not to continue Agenda 111, the residents of that district will form a view about it. If the residents are of the view that we even don't need Agenda 111, we don't need a district hospital, they'll be happy with the NDC. But if the residents are of the view that though we were not impressed that the MPP did not finish this hospital and we voted them out in the December 7 election, what is this business that the NDC says that they won't finish it for us? And are we happy about it? Is it in our interest? And they'll take another view of that. So frankly, for me, it's not about whether I will be disappointed whether this program or that, is what the people feel that matters. If the people are disappointed that you have not continued a particular project, 4 years is not too.
Expecting in the first 100 days.
Well, the first 120 days.
Because their own document says 120.
They have, in fact,
You've marked it on your calendar.
So this morning we were, doing some analysis of the 120 days. I was vice chairman of the NPP's manifesto committee.
Indeed.
And so we also had a plan for 120 days. So this morning we were comparing what would be happening if Bawumia was in power in the first 120 days with what will be happening if Mahama is in power in the first 120. Our expectation and our job will be to assist them.
Peace that are not coming back, will you miss most?
What did you? Well, I will swerve your question. The person I will miss most is no more. Anthony Akutose. He's the one who literally trained me in the chamber here when I came here 2 parliaments ago. Showed me the ropes, helped me to better understand the fiscal policy, the economic policy.
He was a former deputy minister for finance.
He was a former minister of state,
yeah.
And then he became our rank.
I think your MP, your parliamentarians are going to be, your constituents are going to be missing you anytime soon because they elected you back into power for the next 4 years. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
A happy New Year.
All the best.
All right.
All the best. Cheers.
Thank you.